Minnesota just got a Super Bowl, but they just built the new stadium, which is how Detroit got the Super Bowl. And we envisioned when this happened, maybe getting into that second tier of rotation where every 20 years you get a Super Bowl, every 20 years you get a Final Four. It's not really working out. And a lot of time, money, effort, investment have gone into making Detroit a more of a destination. We don't ever expect to be Orlando, Florida, or San Francisco, California, or anything like that. But can we get a Super Bowl again? Can we get a Final Four again? There were 7 cities vying for 4 spots. 2 of them went to the state of Texas. Texas is going to get 5 Final Fours in 12 years.
Which one bothers you the most of all that we've missed out on? Which is the one that bothers you the most? Not getting named for another Super Bowl yet, not getting named for the Final Four, the NFL draft, the X Games, MLS franchise.
That's a great question.
That's 5 right there.
Let me mull this over because all of them piss me off.
Yeah, but
which one bothers me the most? I have to think about that.
Because I'll talk through a little bit of it now. I'm bothered by all of them like you, okay? It bothers me that we're not going to get a Super Bowl for a while, and yet I get it. You know, it's a February event, and February in Detroit is weather's iffy. You never know what to expect. Well, you can pretty much expect snow and cold. We got lucky last time. I don't expect to see another Super Bowl for a while. X Games, I'm not a big X Games guy, so I can't say I'm terribly disappointed. Does it make more sense to have it in Austin? Yeah, I don't know.
They're leaving Austin.
Right. The Final Four, I'm disappointed because I thought this was going to be a slam dunk that we'd get the Final Four, given that it worked out successfully in 2009. MLS franchise, I'm disappointed, but I'm more disappointed that Gilbert and company didn't find a site to build a stadium and get that done. So that would have been easier for MLS to say, yes, okay, you've got your own stadium that's going to seat 25,000 people with room to expand if you have to. Sounds great. They didn't get that done. I'm more pissed at Gilbert's group for not getting it done. But the one that bothers me the most is the NFL draft. The NFL draft, as we know, takes place in late April. It's hit or miss with rain or not, but it's like that throughout the rest of this country as well. Okay, it's hit or miss in Chicago. It's hit or miss in Philadelphia and New York. Same thing with the weather. Weather, not an issue. Football fans in Detroit are die-hard fans. We love football. If we didn't love football, we wouldn't go out to Ford Field every Sunday and watch that team go out there and disappoint year in and year out, right?
Yep.
We love football. There's no question about it. You have a huge college football fan base as well. We love football. There's no arguing that point. The venues that could host the NFL draft, it would be so spectacular to have it at different sites. You know, you've got the draft that could be held at the Fox Theater for the football types, and then for the fans and all that, you could have that wherever. You could have it at LCA, at the Plaza out there. You could have it in simultaneously going on at Comerica Park or at Ford Field, next door at the Fillmore, everywhere. I mean, the whole district of Detroit would be just swamped by people loving the draft because this town loves the draft. You could get 500,000 people downtown for the draft. And for that not to be in Detroit, to have it not announced yet, or that we got passed over for other cities, really, really chaps my backside.
248-539-9797. It's a great question. I'm still going to think about it. Out of the things that we have missed out for in like the last 4 years, college football playoff, X Games, NFL draft, MLS franchise, and Final Four, which one disappoints you the most? That's tough to answer because I would have loved them all. Each and every one of them I would have been excited about.
I thought it stalled enough for you to really think.
Well,
were you dialed into my logic?
What you're saying about the draft is 100% true. I'm tempted by, I'm just talking through on the air here, but the MLS is something that would have been every year. It would have been 18 home dates a year every year. Whereas all the rest of these were kind of one and dones. The X Games, I think, was a 3-year contract, so there was that. And there was something about the X Games being embraced by sort of the ruggedness of Detroit that fit. It really did. And I'm not the biggest X Games fan, but that felt like a natural fit to me.
having the backdrop of the riverfront.
Yeah, and the rally
great.
cars going through like the old Packard plant was stuff that sounded like take advantage of some of what Detroit has. But anyway, I want to follow through on our regularly scheduled programming, and that is we asked you where the Lions skill position players rank the weapons that Stafford has to work with. ESPN did a list of your tight ends, your wide receivers, and your running backs ranked. And here's some of what has come in from Todd in Farmington Hills. Lions rank 14th. From an unnamed texter, I bet the Browns are ranked higher. From Carlos in Oak Park, 22nd. From Scott and Warren, 19. Lions ranked 23rd. That's from Rick and Redford. 20, just right. That's from Greg and Novi. 31, the Lions suck once again. That's from Dave in Memphis. We rank 12th. Wide receivers are top 5. Running backs and tight ends will be 32 until they prove something. 22, despite having 2 great receivers, I don't think they'll completely make up for the lack of a running game, and that's why the Lions have not had any great success. From JC, they ranked 27th. From Scott and Warren, 19th. From Quentin, I'll guess 22nd. From Cal and Madison Heights, I believe the receiving corps gives us a higher ranking despite being held back by a defunct rushing attack. I'll give us a ranking of 12. From an unnamed texter, I'll say 10th. The receiving corps is pretty damn good. Marvin Jones is legit. Well, the Detroit Lions weapons rank 21st. And the reasoning is they say good things about the wide receivers as expected, but then they add Quinn passed on bringing back tight ends Eric Ebron and Darren Fells, and he replaced them with an uninspiring duo of Levine Tolio and Luke Wilson. And then they just rip into the running backs. At the end, they say the Lions actually have an above-average offense, but that's built more upon Stafford and the offensive line than Stafford's individual weapons, Jones and Tate aside.
See, I would have thought that maybe they would have given a little bit to the running backs because they spent the second-round pick on Karsch Johnson. They bring in LeGarrette Blount, who's a proven asset to have, and that Theo Riddick is actually a pretty good two-way running back. Well, the offensive line's terrible, but at least it was last year. Will it be improved with injuries and recovering from that and adding Ragnow? We hope so. But, I mean, you know what I mean with the running backs? I would have thought that the running backs would have maybe instead of getting ripped, might get a little bit of a push based on what they added.
What's interesting about this, they don't even mention Karsch Johnson. And whoever wrote this clearly doesn't like LeGarrette Blount. Says former preseason sensation Amir Abdullah has averaged just 3.8 yards per carry as a pro, and while LeGarrette Blount should take that spot in the rotation, the bruising former Patriot starter was one of the worst goal line backs in football last season and hasn't had much success outside of New England. Theo Riddick's ineffectiveness as a rusher, he's yet to break 4 yards per carry even once, keeps him one step below the Duke Johnsons of the world.
What is it? Do you have all the teams on there?
Yes.
What does it say about the Giants?
The New York Giants, hold on, I'm going to have to scroll through this to find them.
And I mention it because that's where Saquon Barkley is going. And do they mention Saquon Barkley at all?
Number 2. And they do mention Saquon Barkley.
So not going to mention Karsch Johnson drafted in the second round, but they're going to mention, okay.
Yeah.
So apparently they do take
to be fair,
rookie running backs into consideration here.
I think Saquon Barkley is a much better running back.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm not arguing that. I'm just from the aspect of these are both rookie running backs. I just wanted to make sure that they are including rookie running backs, which they do with the Giants, and they already admitted that this thing is going to be top talent heavy. So you've got Saquon Barkley and you've got Odell Beckham Jr., and I imagine that's a pretty good start.
Yeah. 248-539-9797. Let's get back to your open line calls. We got a John on a cell. What's up, John?
Hey, gentlemen. Listen, just a couple things. Number one, I love Detroit. Used to fight people that would say bad things about Detroit. I think we've become our worst enemy, and what's happened to Detroit. We think of Detroit as becoming Renaissance, and we've made a great comeback, and it's a great city, and we talk about restaurants and everything else, except that we don't talk school system or community. And then when think of yourself on the board on choosing for any event, and you have to pick a city. And while you're picking that city, an article comes out choosing the worst cities to live in the country. Flint is number 2 and Detroit is number 1. So you're going to tell me that we're going to pick Detroit for one of these spots when they're considered the worst city to live. I know it's a sporting event. But, it does make a difference in it. When it comes from the New York Times, it sways people.
Yeah, John, and I also think what I find remarkable about that is then Detroit shouldn't even be a finalist. Detroit should be told by the NCAA when they're taking these bids and by the MLS and by the X Games, don't even bother. Like, they're wasting our time.
Well, I think they're trying to throw you a bone, all poor Detroit, kind of a pity thing. Well, we'll put you in the finals, but you'll never be our pick. And the fact that Detroit or Michigan is, in fact, the number 6th or 7th soccer state in the whole country, and we haven't had an MLS and we're not getting one yet, makes me sick. Big soccer fans.
248-539-9797.